classic and 21st century soul. This is Solar Radio.
The Mike Parlett Show on Solar Radio.
Yes, indeed. And welcome to another Mike Parlett radio show. We are streaming live as usual, and we are here on Solar Radio, your classic and 21st century soul station. Boy, have we got a great show lined up for you today. We've got Richard Niles, my special guest, going to be joining me on the show today. Lots of great music lined up for you. Of course, we're going to be playing some of our selections from the Gorovs and some great new music from Richard, and so many other things going on today. So I'm really, really happy to bring you this wonderful show today. We've got some other people coming on as well. It's going to be a surprise. Of course, last week we had Ollie Silk on. Ollie was my special guest last week. And if you want to catch that show again, if you missed it, it's up on my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel. It's Mike Parlett Radio Show on YouTube, where we are broadcasting live. And subscribe, like us, and all that kind of good stuff. We appreciate you so much. Welcome to another show. I want to say a big thanks to Eddie Edmondson for another fantastic show. Thank you so much, Eddie. And this is Ollie Silk. We think we play this track for you again this week. The Mike Parlett Radio Show. Thank you for joining us. 2 hours of great music lined up for you today, right here on Solar Radio, your classic and 21st century soul station. It's the Mike Parlett Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was a brand new single from Boney James. And we want to thank Jason Gorov for all the great music that he brings us, and also the great promotion that he does each and every week as well for all this great music. My special guest today is going to be Richard Niles. He's coming on right after this track. This is one of his songs. It's called Club Deranged. Very, very funny, from Kid Creole. Actually, it's Kid Creole singing this. And we'll come back and talk to Richard about this. And Richard's going to be doing maybe about 45 minutes of the show with us today and bringing in some of his great music and some of the influences. Check this out. Club Deranged right here on the Mike Parlett Radio Show.
At the door at Club Deranged, it's what you bargained for and more. Somehow you've changed. At Club Deranged, it doesn't matter who you are. At Club Deranged, you're just another superstar who's gone insane. At Club Deranged, where technocrats and technophobes can dance the boogaloo. Agitprop meets acid jazz and cows forget to move. Lycanthropy is commonplace, turn off your mobile phone. In any case, remember this, your life is not your own. At Club Deranged, your brain will float in permacool. At Club Deranged, where every genius is a fool who's rearranged. At Club Deranged, woo, woo, baby, 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 baby. Aye. Cool. Swing it. Woo! Baby. Shiver me. Put on their clothes and nuns come out to play. Sideboards singing palindromes, performing swimming pools. Just one rule to remember, there are never any rules. At Club Deranged, it's transcendentally impure. At Club Deranged, it's just reality that's sure to be shortchanged. At Club Deranged, oh, Club Deranged, I got to know. So smooth me, mama, smooth me, baby. Club Deranged, something about your mama make me wanna say, short cut, my kind of cut time. Woo! Straight and narrow. I walk in the street and I'm getting anything nice. Living it up at Club Deranged.
Yes, indeed, it is the Mike Parlett Radio Show, and we are at Club Deranged. And the Mr. Club Deranged himself, Mr. Richard Niles, is on the line today. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Mike. How you doing, big boy? Can you hear me good?
I sure can. And we can see you. We are broadcasting live today on Solar Radio.
Oh,
yeah, can see you. Yes, indeed. Put your pants on, quick.
oh yeah, I better do that. And I have my friend with me here.
What's his name now? Now tell me his name. He's very cute and very sweet.
Well, he is cute and sweet. I don't actually have a name for him.
Oh,
but
okay.
His
listeners,
real name is Flopsnow.
Oh, nice.
Flopsnow.
Okay, so today's competition question is we have to name Richard's Flopsnow.
Name Richard's what?
Richard's Flopsnow.
Oh yeah, he needs a name, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Richard Niles, my very special guest on the program today. Thank you for joining us, Richard. And we just played Club Derange, Kid Creole.
Yeah, well, that was really a fun record to do. It was it was from my second solo album as a guitar player, and you heard me playing very unusually wah-wah guitar there, yeah. So Kid Creole was a buddy of mine, and I'd done some work with him. And when I wrote this song, I knew that he was the guy to do it. And believe it or not, seriously, I sent him this song. He walked into my little studio in London. And that was literally one take.
Wow.
He walked in, he said he was on his way to someplace else. He always dresses like you see him dressing. You know, you think that he's a performer and he just dresses that way for that. No, he dresses that way when he wakes up. I was at the place where he was staying for quite a while, and he actually sleeps in silk pajamas from the 30s. Wow. And he just always dresses like that. It's great.
What a character.
Yeah, and a brilliant genius at what he does.
Yeah, and is he still going now? I mean, are they
hell yes, yeah.
He's
still performing like crazy.
But no new actual albums and stuff. I haven't seen anything.
That's not true. In fact, I think they have a new album out called something like, it's got some crazy title. Oh yeah, they've released a new compilation, I think, called Off the Coast of Me.
Off the Coast of Me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And there are still Coconuts, and it's all still going, and he's always had great musicians playing with him. And he's a wonderful guy, and I think he was a very important guy in terms of the development of the kind of music that we like, because he took a certain thing where he combined the sort of very, very old jazz of Cab Calloway and joined it to the whole dance thing that happened in the 80s. And he did it brilliantly.
Let's listen to this track. This is the one that he's known for, obviously. Stool Pigeon, Kid Creole. My special guest is Richard Niles. We're going to be talking about all kinds of music today.
make a deal, make it worth your while. So he told it all, and in return he got a credit card and a Thunderbird. He got a spanking new identity and a condo down in Miami. He bought a plane, a boat, and jewelry, but he couldn't buy any company. There's a gentleman that's going wrong, turning the joint upside down. Stool pigeon, ha-cha-cha-cha. He's an old ex-con that's been away. Now he's back, no one say. Stool pigeon, ha-cha-cha-cha.
My very special guest on the program today is Dr. Richard Niles. Great to have you here, Richard. And
It is great.
Yes. Are you actually still in touch with him?
Yes, I am. I say hello to him on Facebook every once in a while and send a few jokes his way because, you know, he likes to laugh.
Quite a guy. And his real name, of course, is...
His real name is August Darnell.
Yes, it is. In fact, I have to tell you that he was just in touch with our very own Paul Newman a couple of weeks ago. August actually called Paul Newman here at the station to say
Great.
hi. And, you know, so actually Paul was quite happy about that.
Well, good. That's nice. And you know, also the arranger on all those Kid Creole tracks was a guy called Charlie Colello, who was a very important arranger, and he brought to August all of that kind of jazzy, funny horn playing that kind of recreated the jazzy side of it, and then August brought the funky side. August is a great bass player too.
All right, I think that's his main instrument, isn't it? But apart from being
It
a
is
great
kind
singer,
of his main instrument, but he plays everything.
brilliantly. My special guest today is Dr. Richard Niles. I'm very excited to tell you that Richard has a new book out.
I do.
Can we hold it up to the camera, maybe, or is
Well,
it
we
not-
can't because, you know, it's so new that it's only just been released today on Amazon in paperback, and it will be out in. I'm just waiting for my author copies to come to me in the mail, but it will be an ebook that will be out on July 4th, which everybody will be celebrating here. And I thought it would be great to release it on a day when everybody is celebrating something else that's, you know, vaguely important, but they'll really be celebrating my book.
Amen.
And I like men.
and let's just tell the listeners what the book is. It's an arranging book. Now, if you're a musician, and even if you're not a musician, it's something that could be quite interesting to read. So certainly, if you're a musician, it's essential reading. But if you're just like someone who loves music, like all the Solar Radio listeners do, you can dip into this book because it's written in such a way that the layman can also read it and enjoy the contents. Is that a
Yes.
fair statement?
That's a fair statement. And the thing is, a lot of people don't even know what arranging is. And when I wrote my first book, which was called The Invisible Artist, I named it The Invisible Artist because people don't know what arranging is. They say to me, well, what do you arrange? Flowers? Furniture? You know, and so in this book, that book was an examination of what all the great arrangers in the history of popular music had done to create the sound that everybody loves. But in this book, I'm actually getting down to brass tacks and showing exactly the techniques that I have used for the last 45 years. And I start from the very beginning. I mean, somebody who is an absolute beginner musician might have a little trouble with it, but people who know music and want to know more, that's what this book is about.
Yes.
And I've been very careful to include a lot of stories, what I call it, from the killing floor of the studio, actual things that happened to me. The other thing is, this is not just a book about arranging. I say that in my first paragraph. I say it's a book about how I did it. Now, for some reason, I got to London in 1975.
Let's come back and talk about that. But before we do, what I want to do is actually play a band that you had a big connection with, and of course that was Morrissey Mullen back in in the 80s and 90s. Of course, one of my favourite bands. Used to go out to so many clubs. And let's just hit this track right now. That's one of my favourite tracks, and this is from an album you produced called "It's About Time."
Indeed.
And this is Old Sax and Captain Axe. Jim Mullen, Dick Morrissey. Right here on the Mike Parlett Radio Show, my very special guest is Richard Niles. Old Sax and Captain Axe, and of course that is Morrissey Mullen from the album It's About Time. I certainly had fun transcribing that solo, Richard, back in the day on the tenor saxophone. I tried to transcribe it for alto. It's not so easy on alto. My special guest is Richard Niles in the house. And
I am in the house. I'm so in the house, and I'm just sending you by email, believe it or not, big boy, another version of Blade Runner, which opened fine for me.
You know, I have to tell you that when I heard that Blade Runner, oh man, it brought tears to my eyes. It was such a beautiful version, Dick Morrissey playing on the actual Blade Runner.
Yes, the way that
movie.
came about, you know,
Incredible.
he was Vangelis, who wrote the music to the original Blade Runner, was a big fan of Dick Morrissey, and it's amazing. You don't really realize how important Dick was. I mean, Paul McCartney said he's not only was his favorite sax player, but his favorite musician. Period. And Vangelis loved the guy. And on the actual movie, if you listen to the movie soundtrack, that's Dick Morrissey playing the melody. And so when we came to do it, you know, I just talked to Dick about, you know, how should we do it, and he just said, "Go for it, big boy." So that's what we did, and it's really, you know, I tried to give it a lot of interesting areas that were popular at that time musically. You'll see that from the rhythm track, but also remember I had Joe Hubbard on bass, who was a fantastic player. Neil Wilkinson, fantastic drummer. So I knew I could do pretty much anything. And all the horns on this album were played by Guy Barker and Chris Hunter, so I couldn't really go wrong there.
No, absolutely not. We're going to come back and play some more of this music for you. Today we've got Rich has sent me a Dropbox full of goodies.
Oh, boys of goodies, yeah.
Indeed. And we're going to come back and talk to you a little bit about his album as well. It's a new album that's, well, it's comparatively new for you, Richard, because the last time you did a Bandzilla album was like 30 years ago.
Sadly, that's true, but I'd rather not discuss that. And I, you know, I try to maintain a semblance of youth here.
Oh, no, you're still looking very young and no grey hair.
Thank God that's out of a bottle. That's one of the good developments of modern society.
Yes, it is indeed. It is indeed. Let's actually, I'm going to try and play some more of this stuff. I'm having an issue playing some of it. So in the meantime, we're going to come back and play some other things for you. Do you like Antonio Carlos Jobim?
Who doesn't?
I want to play this for you. This is a great song, of course, and this is Dave Grusin featuring Eric Marienthal on saxophone, and this version of Water to Drink, Agua de Bebe. My special guest is Richard Niles. Chicago de Bear. It's the Mike Parlett Radio Show, and of course that is a Dave Grusin production. It's called A Twist of Jobim. Very, very nice
baby.
indeed. Did you like that, Richard?
I loved it. I love anything about Dave Grusin.
Yeah. Now, actually, we want to try and get your book to Dave Grusin, and we're going to try and do that for you.
That would be groovy.
Through Tom Brown. Tom Brown has a new album out, which I'm very proud to say that I had the opportunity to mix. We'll see if we can come back a little bit later on the show, play maybe a cut or two from that. It's great to be here. I want to say a shout out to a few of our regular listeners and our new listeners as well. I want to say hi to Mike Tanusis listening today, Anita Carmichael, and of course not forgetting Sue Ray and hubby and all the people listening today. There's many, many people that are tuned in to the show today, and we are broadcasting live. If you want to go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you get to watch the program each and every week, and you get a notification. You can also download our weekly podcast by going to Mixcloud and then subscribing to the Mixcloud podcast, and you can download that one too, and get a free copy of the podcast each week. My special guest this week is Dr. Richard Niles. Great to have you here, Richard.
Thank you, Michael, and do tell the listeners that not only if they join your podcast, they also get to turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
They turn right into a pumpkin, and it's a great experience. So listeners, get into it. It's great.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to ask Richard. I haven't asked you this. This is a complete surprise for you, Richard. But
yes,
I'm going to ask: can we do a competition today where we give something away that you have? Now
Let's
it could be
now.
So
have you got a tape measure? Oh.
No, it'd be a small tape. No, I would like to actually suggest that we may give a copy of the book away today to a lucky listener.
Well, we can do that. We can give a copy of the book away to anyone.
Or the album.
Okay, here it is. This is kind of a cheeky thing, but I think it's fair. I will give a free copy of the book away to the first person who can send in a photograph of themselves holding my last book, The Invisible Artist.
That's not fair. Well,
yes, completely fair. It's utterly fair, and I think it's great because it shows that they have an interest in arranging already.
Actually, that's true.
And then if they do, I will send it to them with Joy, and in fact, Joy will deliver it to you. She's a very nice girl.
Indeed. Actually, let's say this. Let's go one step further and raise the ante a little bit. How about if anyone sends in a copy of the Invisible Artist with them holding it?
A photograph of them holding the book. That's all I want. Anyone,
not just the first, anyone. You get a copy, a free copy of the new book.
No, because I can't afford to send out thousands of free copies of the book. However,
but you are assuming that there's going to be thousands of people with the Invisible Artist sending themselves with a photograph of them holding it.
Let me tell you that I did a mail out recently, and I have over 253 great replies saying that people want the book. So I think it will be popular amongst people who have taste, discernment, and a pink shirt, which I'm wearing right now. If you can see, I'm wearing a pink shirt.
Yes, and bearing chest as well, indeed. Dr. Richard Niles.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit warm today.
We're going to come back and talk about your career, and a long and illustrious career it is indeed. Before we do that, I want to play a track which you sent us, The Seduction of Art, with one of my very all-time favourite saxophone players, Chris Hunter. Tell us about this.
Okay, well, this track features some pretty awesome musicians, not only Chris Hunter, the great guy who I started working with when he was about 18, and he was a monster then. He used to practice a minimum of 10 hours a day, so that's probably why he was sort of good. But also on this track are the great Danny Gottlieb and Mark Egan, the rhythm section for the original Pat Metheny group. So it's a killer track, and I'm playing classical guitar on it. Nice. And it's rather charming, and it has echoes of all kinds of things funk, smooth jazz, lovely charmingness, and I hope you enjoy it.
Oh man. Chris Hunter, you can see why he was one of my big influences, and what an incredible solo that was on that track. When was it recorded, Richard?
That's a very good question. I'm going to tell by looking at the record, and it says here 19. It looks like 88, 89, something like that. And Mike, I'd like you to tell the listeners, because you can tell them this. What Chris is doing a lot of the time is playing off the horn, as they call it. Now, tell the listeners what that means.
What it means is that he's playing notes that don't actually officially exist on the saxophone.
Exactly.
So they're right off the range of the saxophone, meaning off the horn.
Now, I think most players, like yourself, can play off the horn. But Chris took it to a ridiculously absurd level where,
yes,
most people can play, what do you think is the sort of general way people can play a fifth off the horn or something like that?
Well, yeah, you can play the highest note on the official highest note on the saxophone is an F or an F sharp.
Yes.
And then you can go up into the harmonic part of the saxophone without getting too technical.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean,
but he's going like an octave above that, and it's ridiculous. And he said that he would practice all of his exercises off the horn, and so he's just an incredible
and still is today,
musician.
and now playing. He did all that work with Michel Camillo, and Michel Camillo's big band, and we should actually maybe come back
and Gil Evans as well.
And play some of that.
He was Dave Sanborn's replacement in the Gil Evans band.
Indeed. I want to come back to a little bit of Morrissey Mullen again for you. And this is one of the tracks, that you produced. So much work. I mean, we could have do like 5 shows and still not scratch the surface of the work that you've done. But this is another great track, one of my favorites. And this is, of course, Do I Do. Remember this?
Oh, I remember it well. My son does this arrangement with his band.
Yes, that's right. So this is off the It's About Time album. And Morrissey Mullen.
To me.
Oh, that is so good. I do, and I want to dedicate that one to Clifford Griffith. It's his birthday today, and he said he wanted a song by Stevie Wonder. Well, there you go. You got it.
Happy birthday, Cliff.
Yes, indeed. And I want to say hi to Susan Griffith as well. Sent me a message last night saying it's my hubby's birthday. Please play him a Stevie Wonder track. So there you go.
Nice.
I hope you like that. Probably wasn't. He probably was expecting actual sung Stevie Wonder track, but I mean that's just such.
Well,
such
anybody
a great version.
can play that.
Yeah, yeah. And you do. Have you got your guitar?
At Mike Parlett's radio show, you get the rare stuff. You get the special stuff nobody else can get.
You do indeed. And that's what we like to do. And talking about rare and special stuff, we have Dr. Richard Niles in the house today. And we got the book. I thought I'd go down and get it for you to show. So do I get my free copy?
Mike, you can't do that to your listeners. It's only fair to let the listeners send in a photograph of them holding my book, and that's all they have to do. The first one in gets a free copy, and that's what they'll get, apart from a great deal of pleasure and knowledge.
Yes, indeed. And this, if you don't have this book, and as I say, this is definitely a book that you can pick up and have as a coffee table book. This is it. It's
That's
called The Invisible Artist. It's very, very informative, and it's plenty of good value for money. It's a nice, good read.
It's all the secret stories of what went on in the studios when making a million hit tracks that we all know and love.
Yeah, and you know about some of them because you were there on some of them. Have you got any kind of just maybe share one of the anecdotal big time stories that you might like to share with the listeners on some of the music that you've done? Because you work with you've worked with the Pet Shop Boys, you work with Paul McCartney. Tell us the Paul McCartney story. Actually, I love that one. That's always a great one where Paul. I'll let you tell it.
Well, which one? Because I have a lot of them. Which one is it about?
Where you went there and he just said, you were talking to him. He said, "Oh, just a minute. I've got an idea for a song. Do you mind? Is it okay?"
Oh yeah. Well, obviously when you're working with McCartney, first of all, you have to get over it because obviously he's created such iconic, great, brilliant music over the years. You have to kind of forget that, and then you do forget it, and he becomes a real sort of ordinary guy, and in fact he wants to be treated as an ordinary guy, and just lay back and relax. But the thing is, we were recording one track. I was doing had done an arrangement on one of the tracks, and we were working on it. And suddenly he said to me and the engineer, "Hey, do you guys mind if I just go in the studio and record something?" And we said, "Well, no, what is it?" He says, "Well, I just got an idea for a song." And I said, "Well," he says, "Do you mind if I go in there and just put it down quickly?" You're going to tell Paul McCartney not to put down an idea he just got for a song? Yeah. I don't think so. So we said, "Sure, Paul, go ahead." He said, "Oh, great, thanks, guys." And he walked in the studio and he picked up an acoustic guitar and he stood in front of the microphone. The great thing about his studio that he had down in Rye is that he always had it ready to record anything. So he had all the instruments all set up and ready to record at the drop of a hat. And there were a lot of hats dropping. So he went in there and he just sang this melody, and actually he had most of the lyrics actually for it, and just sang along to the guitar. And then he said, "Oh well," and it was great. And then he said, "Well, actually, do you mind if I just put down some drums?" "No, Paul, we don't mind." So he went in the drum room, and of course he had all the original drums that he used on the Abbey Road record, beautifully tuned, sounded kind of like Ringo, I have to say, and laid down perfect drums, literally one take. Then he says, "Oh well, I might as well throw some bass on it." So he picks up the Hofner Beatle bass with the set list for Shea Stadium taped onto the side of it, mind you.
Wow.
Which, yeah, I mean, it's just absurd. You kind of don't realize that you're actually there watching that. And so he did that, and the bass was perfect. Then he said, "Oh, well, I'll just throw a little piano on it." And he put some piano on it. And this is all one take each. And he had just thought of the idea for this song. And then he said, "Hey, Rich, could you give Dick Morrissey a call, please, to come in tomorrow and put some saxophone on it?" I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And that was it. And then he said, "Okay, let's get back to the track now." So when you talk about a guy being a genius, what we're talking about is an extremely talented and capable and efficient musician. So that was my wonderful,
It's amazing.
one
It's
of
amazing.
one of my wonderful experiences with.
We're
Mr.
gonna hear some more of those experiences, but I want to play a track from a remastered album that was remastered back in 2010, and of course this is the 1973 iconic album Band on the Run. I'm gonna play this for you anyway, right
Okay.
here on the Mike Parlett Radio Show. I want to say a big shout out to Graham Veach enjoying the show today. Hey Graham. Also want to say hi to Hope Diamond. Hey Hope.
Stuck inside these four walls, sent inside forever, never seeing no one nice again, like you, Mama, you, Mama, you. If I ever get out of here, thought of giving it all away to a registered charity. All I need is a pint today. If I ever get out of here, if we ever get out of here. Well, the rain exploded with a mighty crash as we fell into the sun. And the first one said to the second one there, I hope you're having fun. Band on the run. Band on the run. And the
Yes, indeed. Band on the Run. My very special guest in the studio is, I think it's falling down the stairs there, but that's Dr. Richard Niles. Great to have you here, Richard. And we're going to play a track which you actually produced with Paul McCartney. Oh, he's walking around. He is walking around. But I think he'll come back in a minute, and then we'll go back to playing this song. This is, of course, a Band on the Run, not the kind of usual fare that we play here on the Mike Parlett Radio Show. So while Rich is away, what I'm going to do is just do a little sneak peek of some of the other music that we've got lined up for you today. We are, of course, playing some of our regular smooth jazz. And I want to say a big shout out to Linda in Orpington listening to the show today. And also want to say hi to Guy Hertebitz, who's tuned into the show, and quite a few other people. If you'd like to watch our video stream, we are streaming live here on my YouTube channel. We are also on the Soda Radio group page as well. We're streaming live, but we are here each and every week with our live video stream. And of course, we are on Solar Radio itself, the Solar Radio app. If you want to listen to Solar Radio, you can listen anywhere you like with our Solar Radio app, where we stream each and every week here, all the time, 24 hours a day. Solar Radio, the classic and 21st century soul station. And we should have Richard back after. You sounded like you sounded like you were doing your exercises, jumping up and down.
I was doing some exercises of some kind.
Oh, I want to ask what?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because what are we playing next, Mike? This is a radio show.
We are playing a track that you actually produced with Paul McCartney. Tell us about this one.
This was one of the many things that I did with Paul, but it's one of the few of them that actually reached the light of day, which was really great. But it's a track called Blue Sway, which is an interesting pun on the word blues way. And it's a cute little track that he wrote, and he said, "What do you think I could do with this?" And so I said, "Let me go crazy all over it with a string section." And by the way, Dick Morrissey is playing all over it. Because he said, I said, how about if I get Dick in to play all over it? And he said, great idea.
I said, hell yeah.
This is it. And I tortured a string section to within an inch of their lives on this one. So those of you who like string sections being forced to play music, this is it. Yeah, baby.
Oh man, what a! If you want strings, Richard Niles is the man to do strings. There's no doubt about that. You are one of the finest string arrangers in the world. I'll put you up there with with Jeremy Lubbock.
That's very sweet of you. Of course, it's not true, but there was lots of blood in the studio that day, I can tell you.
Yeah, and I should have to say I was in on a session with Richard Niles when we did Paul Carrick, song for Paul Carrick, and you did quite a lot of work with Paul Carrick. If you don't know who Paul Carrick is, of course, you've got quite a number of songs that Paul Carrick was very famous for, including The Living Years.
Yes, and so many others. Paul Carrick is one of the greatest singers ever to walk the face of the planet. He really is an amazingly beautiful singer.
Yes, really is. And a great keyboard player and Hammond organ player as well, by the way.
Yeah, he's just a great musician in all styles at any tempo. But man, his voice is so soulful that he is the definition of soulful, beautiful. He's the kind of voice that makes you feel warm and fuzzy and you just want to hug him for sounding that great. Yeah,
indeed. Paul Carrick is still, still going strong and putting out some really, really great music. And let's just say that you had the opportunity to work with him on quite a few of his string arrangements.
Yes, I did lots of strings and brass for him, and I've done his last 3 albums actually, and he's a pleasure. And we did a great session last year at Air Studios, and I hope there will be more.
Yes, and we actually did some work as well over here in LA with an LA string section, which I'm trying to actually find that track. Yes, here it is. And this is a Paul Carrick with Richard Niles' amazing string arrangement. Tell us about this. We had 12 string players in the studio.
Which track are you playing?
From Now On.
Oh, From Now On. Yeah, this is just a very, very pretty, nice, gentle, beautiful song. And the strings just support. That's what they're there to do. They're not doing anything too exciting. They're just relaxing, warming up his already very warm voice and providing support.
Actually, we will come back and play that a little bit later on, but we've got so much to get through today.
We do.
So what I'm going to do is actually dip back into this wonderful Dropbox that you've given us and ask you to select a track and tell us about it.
Ah, well, now you're talking. Well, let's see now what I can select. Okay, I'd like to select one thing, which is I used to work with a very, very amazing singer called Tony Walters, who was an American singer who sang for many years as Diana Ross's chief backing singer. And in fact, when she did her concerts, she would never go to the sound check. She knew that Tony could sing in her key because he had an incredibly high voice. And so she would just have him do all the rehearsals. And then she would come in for the concerts. But Tony was an amazingly wonderful singer and a great guy to work with. And I'd like to pick this track for 2 reasons. Number one, because it's got Nigel Hitchcock on it too, who I know that we can enjoy. And it's a song called I Believe in You. And it's a funky little paint stripper, which is a version that I did an arrangement of this song with a little undercurrent of funk. And it's a famous jazz standard, I Believe in You. In fact, it's from a musical called How to Make Friends or Without Really Trying.
How to Win
or something
Friends
like
and
that.
Influence People.
Yeah, that's an influence people. Yeah. But anyway, it's a killer track. And if you've got it there, man.
I think I do. There you go. Check it out. Tony Walters. I used to play with him back in London. Great, great singer. Sit back and enjoy this. You're listening to me, Mike Parlett, with the Mike Parlett Radio Show.
Clear.
My special guest, Richard Niles.
Wisdom and truth. Yeah, there's that upturn chin and the grin of impetuous youth. Solid judgment whenever you talk. Yeah, there's that bold tiger that quickens your walk. Hey, I believe in you. I believe in you. And when my faith in my fellow man all but falls apart, I've yet to feel your hand touching mine, and I take heart to feel the cool, clear eyes of a seeker of wisdom and truth. Yeah, there's that slam, bam, tang reminiscent of gin and vermouth. When my faith in my fellow man all but falls apart, I've yet to feel your hand touching mine, and I take heart to feel the cool, clear eyes of a seeker of wisdom and truth. There's that slam, bam, tang reminiscent of gin and vermouth. Hey, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you.
Oh, that is so good. I Believe in You. And of course, that is the wonderful Tony Walters. Really nice guy and such a great, talented artist in his own right. I believe he has a number of albums out as well. My special guest.
Actually, he doesn't. And through his whole career, he never. This is the only album he made, and I was really happy that he asked me to do it. And sadly, he died some years ago. But I'm glad that there is really a record like this of his enormous talent.
I didn't know that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, sadly, he did, and he went to
he
retired to go to Spain. And then, sadly, after a few nice years there, he sadly died. So I'm just so glad that people can hear his voice, because so often, you know, singers like him, you know, unless they get big hits, nobody knows who they are. But I'm glad that your audience is able to hear this, and you've got the whole album there, and it is an incredible album with fantastic players on it, and it's well worth getting. The record is called Lucky to Be Me.
Lucky to Be Me. And I'd like to play another track from the album, of course, and this is Who Can I Turn To? Tell us about this. And, of course, these are all your arrangements, aren't they, Richard? You know,
yes, they're all my arrangements in production, and I'm actually playing the guitar solo on this track, which is quite amazing. So get ready to be pinned against the wall. and Who Can I? Again, another jazz standard, Anthony Newley song. Great song. Here it is. My
special guest today is Richard Niles. Before we play this, I want to say there's a few people listening today, or quite a few people. I want to say hi to Anthony J. Carter listening to the program. Also want to say hi to Marvin Yates and Carol listening in Detroit. I want to say hi to quite a few other, but Ash Sethi is listening as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, Ash. Big honor. And Paul Newman, from our very own Paul Newman from Solar Radio, is also tuned in. I want to say hi to Paul Buick listening in Thailand. as well.
Nice.
Listening to the program, and also want to say hi to a few other people as well. David Lewis, our very own David Lewis, is tuned in. Isn't it nice when solar radio DJs actually tune in and listen to your program?
I think it's nice.
Yeah, that is saying something. It's thank you. We are honoured that and humbled that you are doing that.
And I'm glad my friend
fellow
came along
DJs
too.
Yes. Before we also do that, I want to say hi to Anita Dominguez as well, listening in Orange County, round the corner from you, Richard.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello there. Hi,
listening to the
Anita.
program. And Anita, a big shout out to you. And also hi to Donna Finch is tuned in today as well. Hey, Donna, nice to know you are tuned in.
Hey, Donna. Oh, sorry.
Come on now.
I know you probably get that all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. Richard's going to get his guitar out. Where is it? You have it on your lap. Give us a little tinkle. Come on.
I always have it to hand, but you know. Okay, that's all you're getting.
Plug it in. Plug it in.
I can't right now. And anyway, I have to go see my mother.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
so we're going to play Who Can I Turn To, and you'll hear me playing guitar on that. And I'm going to say goodbye to your listeners. I think this is such a great show, and it's doing a lot for music. And you get all the hip stuff here. You get all the rare stuff here with Mike Parlett and his radio show.
Thank you. So I'm also want to say a big up to Alex Niles as well, Richard's son. Great new album out as well. Tell them about that very quickly.
Okay, Alexander Niles, my son, he's 17 years old. He's an incredible virtuoso player, and he's got a new album, Alex Plays Alex, all his writing and all of his incredible playing and singing. And maybe later in the show you'll play something from him.
Certainly will. Thank you so much, Richard. Always great to have you on the program.
Okay, Mike.
Keep up the great music. Keep doing what you're doing, and don't forget to also stay safe as well down there.
I'm staying safe despite the baby oil. See you later.
Take care.
Who can I turn to when nobody needs me? My heart wants to know, and so I must go where destiny leads me, with no star to guide me and no one beside me. I'll go on my way, and after the day, the darkness will hide me. And maybe tomorrow I'll find what I'm after. I'll throw off my sorrow, beg, steal, or borrow my share of laughter. With you I could learn to, with you on a new day. But who can I turn to if you turn away? And maybe tomorrow I'll find what I'm after. I'll throw off my sorrow, beg, steal, or borrow my share of laughter. With you I could learn to, with you on a new day.
is a burning thing. Yes, it is. And it makes, you know, it makes a fiery ring. Girl, you know I'm bound by wild desire. That's what you do to me, girl, because I done I fell into your ring of fire. You got me, baby. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and oh, the flame went higher, and it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, your ring of fire. Girl, you know the taste of love is sweet. Ain't it sweet, baby? When two hearts, two hearts like ours meet. Listen, girl, I done fell for you like a child, like a little bitty baby. But that doggone fire went wild. That thing went crazy, baby. I fell into a pretty ring of fire. I went down, 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 and oh, the flame went higher, and it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, your ring of fire, burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, that ring of fire.
Ray Charles, and I have to start playing Ray Charles because, of course, Dr. Richard Niles also worked with Ray Charles. We didn't get to that because there's just so much content to talk about. But it's me, Mike Parlett, here with you each and every week. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are just, playing some great music for you today. Hope you're enjoying the selections. I want to tell you that we've got another track I want to play with you for you. Not this one, but we are playing some of the music that Jason Gorov promotes here as well, who was one of our contributors to the program. But now it's Adam Leibowitz, and we have the Lounging with Leibowitz section, which we're going to be doing next week on the program. So come and join us for that. And Adam Leibowitz will be my special guest on the program next week. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to keep moving on and play some more great music for you. This is a track which off the new album by David Davis. And the album is called Remembering Our Leah, and this is 4-page letter. Very happy to say that I had the honour of actually mixing this album, and it's great. It came out really well. Had his listening party on Zoom yesterday. Went brilliantly well, and hopefully this album will be available. It is actually already available. Go to CD Baby and download Remembering Our Leah, David Davis.
I always had my eyes on this one particular guy. I was shy, so I decided to write. I'm sending him a 4-page letter, and I enclose it with a kiss. And when I write him, he better get it on time. I'm sending him a 4-page letter.
Fantastic new album by David Davis. The album's called Remembering Alia. He's got some special guests on there, some really great singers and artists as well playing on it. And that is available, as I say, it's called Remembering Alia. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my upcoming special guest. It's going to be on the program in hopefully a couple of weeks' time, but I will obviously confirm that with you. It's this man, Brian Auger. It's going to be on the program with me. Probably he'll come in the studio. And what a character Brian is. It's always great to have him here. And this is, of course, Happiness is Just Around the Bend. My special guest will be on the program, Brian Auger. We do try to keep a special guest coming in each and every Sunday evening. It's 10 till midnight if you're listening in the United Kingdom, and of course 2 till 4 on the west coast of the United States, where we are coming to you live from the studios of Talented Productions right here in Los Angeles, California. And boy, it is getting pretty hot here right now, I have to say. Hope you're enjoying the show, and we are certainly enjoying playing all this great music for you right here on Solar Radio, your classic and 21st century soul station. I'm Mike Parlett.
My
It's the Mike Parlett Radio Show. As I say, we are here each and every Sunday night, so come and join us. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and we are also podcasting. Go to mixcloud.com, sign up for our weekly podcast, and it's always great to do because you get a copy of the show downloaded to your computer free of charge. And of course we like to do that because it's something you can listen to anytime you like. If you're out for a walk, if you're walking the dog, walking the cat, doesn't matter. You can listen to our show, the Mike Parlett Radio Show, each and every week, and we are here bringing you all this great music. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Lynn Fidmont, Walking on Rainbows, from the album Power of Love. Lynn Fidmont. It's the Mike Parlett Radio Show. We got to about, I think we've got time just very, very quickly to just play the mix I did for Tom Brown, and I actually fortunately got an opportunity to play on it as well. So we're going to see if we can pull that up. This is a track called Just Work. It was based on a song by John Handy called Just Work, yes. Just Work. Actually, the John Handy song was called Hard Work. So we'll see if we can play this for you before we go today. But don't forget, you can watch our video anytime you like. Go to YouTube and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Mike Parlett Radio Show on our YouTube channel. Become a subscriber and like our videos, and we can bring you all this great music each and every week. And also, don't forget to tell your friends about the show. It's always good to know that people are enjoying the show, and we appreciate all your comments and wonderful suggestions for the show. We're going to take you out with this. This is Just Work, and it is Tom Brown's new single. Not out yet, but it's just about to come out. So see if we can pull this up and play this for you before we go today. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast each and every week. Go to mixcloud.com and subscribe to the podcast.
'Cause I believe you know just what you're doing now. Baby, now we can coast. Let's coast. Let's go. Let's do it in a hurry. That's too slow. Go ahead and put that thing in overdrive.
About all we got time for before we hand over to Peter Smedley and the Soul Vibration Show. I've been Mike Parlett. I'll be back next week with a special guest. Actually, it's Adam Leibowitz, and Richard Niles will be coming in with son Alex as well, playing live in the studio. Put it in your diaries, and hopefully we'll see you next week for another Mike Parlett Radio Show. It's been wonderful bringing you this great music, and as I say, keep in touch and stay safe out there, and keep your dial very firmly tuned to Solar Radio. I'll see you next week. Peter Smedley coming right up if you're listening live. This is Just Work, Tom Brown, and yours truly, me on the saxophone.